All right, we want to tell everybody hello. We've had some technical difficulty, so your screen went from that size to this size. Sorry. We're just going to start and move forward. We do have a couple of door prizes, so if you didn't get a number, before we draw, we'll go around and make sure everybody gets a number. Okay? All right, Danielle.
Okay, so we are a part of the Wise County Horticulture Club. We're based out of Decatur. We meet every third Thursday of the month, either at the fairgrounds in Decatur or at the Wise County Extension office in Decatur. And we'd love to see you guys there if you guys want to join. We're just like-minded people that want to indulge in plants and all things horticulture related. We try to have good speakers for you guys every single month. To expand your knowledge of all things horticulture.
We also have a lady that pulls up in her car and opens up her trunk and gives us plant samples.
She's our plant dealer.
She's our plant dealer.
Yeah,
so we get our plant fix out in the parking lot.
We do.
Just saying.
We do.
The third Thursday of every month. So come on out. Even if you have a brown thumb, come on out. We'll change it to green. We've had a lot of good speakers come and a lot of knowledge shared.
Okay.
Yes. It's Wise County Horticulture Club. It's
WCHCTX.com. That's our website. We're also on Facebook, so you can find our Facebook group listed there. It's just Wise County Horticulture Club. And we do have an email list that we've now started. So if you want to join our email list, we'll send a monthly newsletter out to you for all of our speakers that we have planned that year. Our big event that we have at the end of the year, a garden affair. It's our big event that we hold at the fairgrounds. We've got tons of vendors, food trucks, tons of speakers. Tammy heads that one up. So.
And it's all about educating people and looking at different ways and looking at how gardening has changed. Because, you know, when it says full sun on the package,
that's me.
It does not mean Texas.
She found my YouTube channel.
Oh, she did?
I was like, wait, that's me. Yeah, when you pull up the YouTube channel, it automatically starts playing our first video. I know. I don't know how to make it stop, but it does. But we are on YouTube. The club is not on YouTube. I am on YouTube. It's Grow Messy. And I do like a lot of updates on my garden and different things that I'm doing with my chickens. So that's kind of what I do as far as Grow Messy. And I do have hats for sale and my business card up here if you want.
And we do try to post videos of the meeting on our Facebook when we have our tech girl there. Because as you can see, we were not the tech girl. She is not with us tonight. So but we're making it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so next screen.
Okay, so to get started, we're just going to go over the basics of starting a garden and getting your garden space ready for the season. So in our first line of order, we want to make a game plan, right? So we want a map of our goals that we want to plant for that season. And a lot of that has to do with your layout, cleaning out your beds, getting your mulch prepared, finding all of your tools that you had before, cleaning them, because if you don't clean your tools, you're wasting your investments. Tools are an investment and they need to be taken care of. Then you're going to decide on what plants you want to plant, right? So do you want to do more of an emphasis on vegetables? Do you want to do a more emphasis on flowers? In all honesty, they go hand in hand in my book. Because a lot of the flowers are a pollinator that need the vegetable attention, and vice versa. So what are you planning on starting this season, right? Do you want to start seeds? Are you wanting to buy started plants already from like a local nursery? These are the things that you want to start to think about. Have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay.
I was walking.
Okay, so our next screen, I'm sorry it's not on the big screen, but is our favorite tools. So some of our favorite tools include a tiller, shovels, hand rake, spade, a hat to keep the sun off your neck. It's very important because when you're out there, you're going to get overheated. We live in Texas. It's very hot out. The UV shirts, sleeve guards, which Jamie has to show you. So when you're pruning your rose bushes, if you're planting pokey plants, these will protect you from that. Also your knee pads and your garden seats and your garden stakes, which she has the seat and the pads as an example.
Making sure it was locked before I sat on it.
Save your back whenever you're planting.
I actually use this one in my kitchen. So when I go down on the bottom, I put this down. So this is actually in the kitchen. This is my new Christmas one, so I'm going to try this one out this year. Yes.
Yes.
I can push down on this right here. Yeah, you can do the other way too. And
For your knees.
It also folds up really easily. It's not like you have to have muscles or anything. So you can go down this way, but I'm not. So, but you can go down that way. I mean, this, like I said, we use this one in the kitchen, but very
Just
versatile.
don't leave it in the sun.
No.
I have the same exact one, but it's blue. And I was telling her earlier that every time I sit on it or use it, it turns my pants blue. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
So I'll be walking around with a blue butt because whatever that material is made of, the sun just deteriorates it and it's now traveling.
And these right here, they help with scratches. So you don't, like when you're messing around in it helps you keep from getting scratched because my skin's pretty thin and I get cuts on it and then they bleed and I look like I've been shot or something. But I really like these and they're cool enough they don't get hot. So if you want to wear your short sleeve shirt, I try to use a UV protected shirt that comes down to here and has where you put your thumb through because I've had to have things removed now. And I wear a big hat that covers the back of my neck.
Yeah, this one's
because that's where most of my damage and the top of my head. I have thin hair, so the top of my head. This is where these are the two places I have the most damage, according to my dermatologist. So he should know, right? I got mine off of Amazon, and they're thin. They're not hot because I tell you, I get hot.
Do they come in multiple sizes?
No, it's just stretchy, and you pull it all the way.
Look like, oh, that's not going to stop a rose bush.
I haven't had any trouble with them.
Okay.
And I have pretty thin skin.
Yeah, me too.
And I mean, I get poked and it's all over. It's gonna spew. So, y'all want to see?
No, they also use those for fishing.
You use them for fishing too?
I know, but I know people that do.
No. I used to be, but my dermatologist said no.
More tools that we
Amazon.
use is a good pair of gloves. I've been through a lot. The ones I find that work, these are not the actual brand, but the mechanics gloves seem to hold up and they're warm. So like in the winter and stuff when you're pruning and things like that, mechanics gloves are a good investment. Always, always have a knife. Always. You never know when you're going to need it. I cut weed fabric with that, all my ropes, my twine. I brought twine to show you guys what I use. It's important to keep track of your tools and to keep them clean because you're investing in them and they cost a lot of money, especially the good ones. Okay, so once we've decided we've got our tools, we're ready to start the garden, we kind of have a game plan on what our garden is going to look like. Now, it doesn't always, pan out the way you think. So I've got my plan, but once I get out there, I'm like, well, maybe this is be better on this side, or if this needs more shade, or this needs more sun. So I tend to move things around, but I've got my plan to get me started. So then you want to decide, are you going to do raised beds? Are you going to plant in ground? Or are you going to do what we call keyhole gardening? How many of y'all have heard of keyhole gardening?
Ooh,
One?
I expect
maybe
to see you next meeting.
Come on, girl.
Come on.
So let's start with raised beds. Your two main types of raised beds are going to be your wood raised beds or like a Vigo garden. I do the raised beds out of cedar pickets, and I've got a few prices here in this presentation I'll get to at the end, but it was about $130, maybe $50 for 6 beds that are 3 feet by 6 feet. And that's a good amount of garden space to get started with in a small area, because it only takes up maybe 20 feet or so. And she does more of the Vigo beds.
At the school, we are starting to build up our garden, and we started off with the box of the wood beds, and they are like 6 foot by 12 foot, and I only made them 10 inches deep, so I really fight with the grass. But the maintenance people love to weed eat. They just love it, and they go in and they cut up my boxes. So I'm on my second set of boxes. So it just came in this week, my 8 Vigo beds. So we're going to set those up for the kids to they're the metal beds. They're painted so they don't get hot, because if you use like a water trough, which I do use water troughs too, but when you use the water troughs, they heat up, and then it heats, and then it just kind of, the heat just keeps traveling. So it's hard to keep them cool unless they're under a tree. So these are supposed to be not, the guys swore up and down, they do not get hot, heat up the soil. So we're going to give it a try this year. So I'm pretty excited about it. They're metal beds with no bottom. So they come in pieces.
They're like a DIY metal raised bed kit. Yes.
And you have to put them together. And I haven't put ours together yet, but Johnny did, and she said it did take some doing to put them together. So you have to put them together. They don't have a bottom. They come in 17-inch and 32-inch, so you can get them deeper, shallow, and they have just exploded on the products that they offer. They offer so many different products, but this is it's like a bottomless. It's just the ring, and you set it down and you layer it. There's different layers, and they have it on their website to show you how you layer it to keep the grass from growing up. So it's pretty cool. It's VEGO. And it comes in colors.
Yeah.
We went with mint green.
Some options for sure.
I thought green would be cool.
So your next option is going to be your in-ground beds. So if you have the space for an in-ground bed, you don't need a ton of space, but if you have it, great. I think that's a good resource. You can add a lot of soil amendments to your soil to get it healthy and ready to go. What I would suggest is a weed fabric, and you can get that on Amazon with your weed stakes, like the garden stakes. It's just a U-shaped metal stake to stake down your weed fabric. Otherwise, the wind's going to take it off with it. So what I do is I cut about 6-inch circles every 18 or so inches, and that's how I plant my plants out. So I'll do all my tomatoes in it, my garlic. I don't know what else I'm going to do this year in it, but that's my plan as far as my in-ground space. Before you do your in-ground space, we do recommend a tilling to get your soil loosened up. Now, grass is relentless, and it will come up no matter what, so you're just going to have to fight it, which is why I recommend your weed fabric. It does help. It will not prevent it, but it does help. And then mulching. You want to mulch your walkways. This will help your soil erosion and your water situation, because we live in Texas and it's got wind and heat. It's going to dry out quickly, but if you mulch your walkways and you mulch where the weed fabric is, you'll have a better shot at keeping that moisture in your soil. So the next option would be keyhole gardening. Now, this was not familiar with for me. About 2 years ago, I became familiar with it. I found a company online. I don't think they are in business anymore, unfortunately. But they did send me a bed to try out, and it's been the best experience. They do have DIY kits. I haven't found a whole bunch locally, but you might be able to find some online, and you can also make your own. I don't know if you guys can see, but Tammy can pass this around. This is a picture of a keyhole garden. This is actually my keyhole garden. It was very easy to put together. It's basically that polycarbonate material on the outside, so like a hard plastic shell, and with a, it's not PVC, it's the metal version, conduit frame. And it kind of holds it all together. And it's about 4 feet maybe off the ground and 6 feet wide. Right in the center of the keyhole, that's why they call it the keyhole, is because it's the way it's shaped, is a wire basket. And that's where all of your compost goes. Your food scraps, your healthy plant clippings, your eggshells, whatever you want to put in there that's organic, natural materials. So that will automatically feed this entire bed. So already you've got something taken out, right? So you're adding your organic materials. You're adding those microorganisms back into your soil to feed that bed. So it's taking one step out for you. You don't have to spray it with Miracle Grow or put fertilizer out or do whatever. It's already doing it for you because you're adding that compost to that center basket. So because it's 6 feet wide and about 4 feet tall, it's not a lot of space as far as like water. So it's very conservative on water. I don't water my keyhole garden all the time. Matter of fact, I skip it a lot. And I don't have to put a lot of water into it. When I do water it, I would just put the hose right in that center basket and let it soak up whatever's in there because it will spread out, being with that keyhole shape. One thing I will say about that soil, it is the best soil I have in my garden, hands down. Doesn't beat the in-ground, it doesn't beat the raised beds, it doesn't beat anything I can come up with. That soil in there is so rich with nutrients that everything grows in there. You could throw anything and it would grow. And there's enough space to where you can, if you plant it right, you can get a lot in there, a lot. So that would be a great option if you're limited on space, if you're limited mobility, because it's 4 feet off the ground and you can walk all the way around it. It's easy to weed. It's super fast to just weed it out. And it's just great. It's great. So if you have any more questions on that, please let me know.
If you Google that, you'll see that it started off in Africa, where there's no water. And they made theirs out of mud bricks. And they've been very successful with, just watering the center, and Africa's beats us.
Oh, for sure.
For sure in the heat. But I've seen her bed. It is amazing. The soil is amazing.
It's just unlike anything else that's in there.
You even threw some worms in, didn't you?
I did. I have a worm farm. I worm farm as well, which is another way of adding like healthy nutrients and microorganisms back into your soil and any kind of your house plants or your lawn and everything like that. But yeah, I did experiment and I threw some worms in there and they're thriving. So this particular company, I think, was around $269 for this DIY kit. I'm on the hunt to find another one to be able to have a resource for everyone. But if you YouTube it or Google it or however you want to do it, there are different DIY kits. I've seen them made out of like landscape timbers. They just put it in the shape of the keyhole with that wire basket. That wire basket is just nothing but chicken wire. So it's easy to maneuver and it's held together by zip ties. I will say if you put the zip ties on too tight on this bed, they will snap over the years because of the sun and the erosion of things like that. But those are easy to replace. So we're going to get into that as far as layering. That's what she mentioned earlier. But we've got a whole slide on what to fill it with. And that goes with raised beds as well. It's the same process.
Area, we have lots of cattle producers that have big mineral tubs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Think of a mineral tub, think of a plastic bucket. You just drill the holes through your plastic bucket. Has a lid on it.
There you go. Does it get hot? Okay.
So you have a keyhole?
The mineral bucket.
Oh.
I have a lot of keyhole. That's the only kind of ones that I have.
Awesome.
That's the best.
Because I have cats, so I have cat litter buckets.
That's great. Yeah, I've seen it like out of the landscape timbers. I've seen it out of those Windsor stones that you buy from Lowe's. Just would take a lot of them, but they would stay and you could use it. So definitely a good resource. Okay, moving on. Composting and mulching. When I first got into this club, the very first speaker that I was involved with talked about a 3-bin compost system. Have y'all heard of a 3-bin compost system? Okay, so our club advisor, Marty, great guy, he talked about that, and it just got me so inspired, and I decided to go home and build one. So what it is, it's just, I did it out of cedar pickets and 2x4s, and it's 3 square containers, I guess you could say, and it's all one thing. But the front of it, you can lift the cedar pickets off so you can actually get in there and scoop and move it to the next bin. So the idea is you start with a bunch of like healthy grass or plant clippings and your mulch, soil, old things that you want to like decompose. So it's a compost, right? So it's all your composting things that you want to put in there. So once that kind of decomposes a little bit, you move it to the center bin, and then you move it to the third bin when it's finally done. And that is where your good compost is to use in your garden. The only thing I found with it is it's kind of a challenge to pull all those guys off and to get in there and move it. It's a lot of manual labor. I don't love that. But what I have been using it for is leaves. If you compost your leaves, it turns into a leaf mold, which adds those microorganisms back into your soil. It's a great resource, and it's free. They're just already in your yard. So that's what I've been using it for, the 3-bin system. Another system you can use is just a compost pile. A lot of people just have compost piles in their backyard that they'll turn every now and then with a tractor or things like that. They heat up and they kill everything that's in there, and then you've got great compost soil instead of buying it from a store that has who knows what in it, because really, who knows what. So composting is a great way to reduce and repurpose your food waste. And then mulching, you want to, like I said earlier, mulch your walkways and top dress your beds to conserve your water and to avoid erosion, right? One resource that I have found is chipdrop.com. Have y'all heard of chipdrop.com? If you go to chipdrop.com and you sign up, it's free. Landscape companies that are in the area sign up through ChipDrop, and they will bring you all of their mulch. They'll just bring a truckload and they'll dump it in your yard for free. You can do either the regular mulch or you can do like logs and mulch. Usually there's more logs and mulch available than there is just mulch, but it's free. And that's a resource for you to use. I think it's great. Yeah.
So different companies would sign up, and then you would sign up, and then y'all would make contact and they would come and bring it to you. So it would still be kind of from the area.
I think
And
it's
it's
great.
free.
I've used it twice, and it's been awesome. I had enough to where I gave some to my parents, I gave some to my neighbors, I filled up my whole garden and my compost. So, it was just very useful, very useful. Okay, so here's where we're going to talk about our layers.
Our layers. Okay. Do
Yes.
I need to walk around? Is there a picture for that?
I don't think I have a picture for
Okay,
that one.
that's okay. We'll talk about layers.
So, like I mentioned earlier, this goes for raised beds, this goes for your keyhole, this goes for your Vigo, all raised bed situations. Layers. Alternating your layers to create a layered effect of natural materials such as cardboard, mulch, grass clippings, logs, sticks, soil, compost, healthy plant clippings, horse, rabbit, or cow manure, and your leaves. So you're just going to keep on layering. I start with my big logs and my sticks.
Yes.
Kind of how you start.
Well, cardboard
And cardboard.
Cardboard.
Your leaves go in there, your grass clippings, because eventually everything will start breaking down, and then you'll refill it. The top layer I like to keep with a healthy organic compost, either my own or from a store, depending on where you want to get it from. Just make sure it's a good organic source.
And Silver Creek is a really good source in Fort Worth. I know that one of my grants, they have a contract with them, so I'll be getting my soil from Silver Creek. I'm pretty excited about that.
I haven't used them. So that would be your layers.
And you just keep layering it, and then it'll sink, and then you'll layer it some more, and it'll sink.
Yeah, I think over the past 2 years, my keyhole has sank probably that much, which is significant, but it's okay because I'm not just going to throw all those layers back in it. Start with my sticks, add my cardboard, my leaves, my grass clippings, and then the top 6 inches or so, I'm going to put my healthy compost to be able to plant into. Okay, so seed starting. So this is where you got to decide, are you going to start seeds? I did pass around a seed starting page for you guys. It's kind of our planting guide on when you need to start seeds and starting purchasing those kinds of things and when to plant.
And you don't have to have a greenhouse to start off seeds.
No.
You don't. You just need a warm place in your house.
So I get my seeds mostly from Johnny's Seeds. I really like that company. I feel like they don't gyp you on seeds. I feel like when you get them, there's a lot in there. So if some do not germinate, you're not totally out. So I've started seeds. I've already started seeds this year. I started in January. I've got, let's see, broccoli, fennel, tomatoes, peppers, and basil started as of now. So I'm going to probably end up doing both because I can't go into a nursery and not buy plants. So I'll probably end up doing both the starts and the seeds. But seed starting is a great way to save your money because if you're going to a nursery and you're going to buy seeds or started plants already, it can get pretty pricey. But the seed packets, they're $2, $3. You can get a lot of them out of it. So as long as you're using a good seed starting mix, those seeds are very delicate and will not all germinate, but if you have a good seed starting mix that they can get through, you might have good success. So I highly recommend starting seeds.
I know that there are some seeds that are not, that are GMO, are non-GMO.
Heirloom.
Heirloom, yes. So does Johnny Seeds do just heirloom?
As far as I know, there's no GMO seeds as far as like from Johnny's or Botanical Interest or anything like that. They don't do any of that kind of stuff.
And Baker's is the same way.
Yeah.
My Baker's catalog is like my J.C. Penney's catalog that I got when I was a kid.
Baker Creek is
you just look through it and it's
very
this
heirloom.
thick. But they have so many things, varieties and different stuff. I really like their sunflowers. They come up with some pretty cool sunflowers.
So seed starting, there's a couple different ways you can start your seeds. The typical way would be to get pots and fill up your pots with soil and then plant your seeds in it. Another way to do it, which I've done a presentation on before, is my soil blocking. So have y'all heard of soil blocking? Okay, so soil blocking is essentially the same as starting it in pots. However, there is no pot. It's just a soil block. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your material, which I recommend like a peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, and a good like really fluffy light seed starting mix. You don't want to use a dense one with a lot of mulch and stuff in it because those seeds I said are delicate and they will not be able to push through that mulch. So I have this big tub that I use and I put all of my material in there and I mix it all together and I add a ton of water to it to where it's very soupy and it's messy. We're going to grow messy, right? So this is kind of where grow messy comes into play. You're getting your hands dirty, you're learning, you're growing. So these guys, how they work is you take, I can show you. It's grab one. It's easier to just show you. Let me get the big one. So they pop like this, okay? So when you're mixing your soil, you're going to move it back and forth like this, and you're going to pack this thing so tight full of soil that when you hold it up, it's not going to fall out. Now, it might drip because you got a lot of water in there, but that's okay. So then what you're going to do is you pop it out like this onto your tray. Okay, you can get a lot of these on a 18-inch tray. And when you pop it, if you'll notice, it's got these little nipple guys on here. That's going to create your pocket for your seed. So it's just going to be a little soil block. That's all it is. It's just a block of soil with a little divot in it for your seed. So you're eliminating that pot altogether. So this one here is the baby. Makes little baby pods, okay? The graduating one would be this size, and this is not the right one for this one. This would actually make the same size hole as this. So when you upplant or transplant, you would take this little baby soil block and you would put it into the bigger one and let it get a little bit bigger before you plant it out into your garden. So that's what soil blocking is.
So are you saying
No.
So
take them out,
yeah.
put them on an 18-inch tray? When you say tray,
Yes, like I should have brought a tray.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, you can get the trays from the nurseries. I get mine from, I believe, I don't know if it's Johnny's or not, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, they have the tray. It's just like an 18-inch tray, like you would buy from the store. All your little tray, your pots are coming in those little black trays. That's all it is. It's just a little tray. And your little soil blocks would just sit on there and fill it up. Then the best way to water those is not overhead, but in the tray. So you would have a tray with no holes, and you would have a tray with holes. And you would layer them. So your soil block sitting on top, you would put your water in the tray with no holes, and it would water it from the bottom. So the soil blocks are soaking it up from the bottom. And they won't fall apart if you've got it packed tight. Pack it tight.
And the pan that she uses, she got at Tractor Supply, and it's kind of a rubbery type. So
Yeah.
it's not the metal one, but you could use anything.
Sure.
But you just need to make sure you mix it and you get it. You have a video on your.
I do. I have videos on YouTube on how I do my soil blocking and everything. So there's definitely resources for that.
Are you making the blocks ahead of time and letting it dry?
No.
Or just keep it watered and you don't care whether the blocks dissolve as long as the seeds are in there?
Yes. So once you make your soil blocks, they'll be pretty moist, and that's when you want to plant your seeds, because your dry seed's not going to germinate. But you just want to keep them moist. They don't need to be sopping. They don't need to be sitting in water either. You fill it up, you let it sit for maybe 15, 20 minutes or so, and then you dump out the water. If not, it's going to keep soaking it up, and they will start to dissolve.
Yeah. So you do have to be careful about that.
You're just checking if they're dry.
Because that's
So-
going to depend on where you store them.
Right.
How, if they're in a greenhouse where it's hot, they're going to dry out faster.
Or if you have a fan.
Or in front of a fan, or if you have them in the laundry room and you run your dryer and it heats up, or you have your heater on, and that's all going to be factors. So you'll just have to see where you're keeping them versus how they're drying out.
And of course, your other option would be to go to local nurseries and buy your plants and not have to worry about it.
But then you have the plastic pot.
That's true, but you can always wash and reuse your plastic pots. Okay, so for my cedar raised beds, like I said, it's about $130 for 5 cedar beds, 3 feet by 6 feet. And I just got those from Lowe's. My husband threw it together super quick. They're in my garden, and now I just got to fill it up with my layers. Keyhole gardening, we went over that. Companion planting is a big one. I actually have a book on companion planting. If you go to where it's tabbed, that pink one, if you open it up, it's got a whole list of companion plants. So things that you would typically plant in your garden, it's got other things that would go with it to kind of help it out. Like tomatoes and basil go together. Cucumbers and nasturtium go together.
And you can Google this also, companion planting, and you can get printables.
And then as far as your in-ground garden, just for reference, I did get my weed fabric and my staples on Amazon. The weed fabric was about $53 or so for the 5 ounce. It's a 3 foot by 100 foot roll. And I got like 2 beds out of that. So I got 4 beds out of that, out of a 100 foot roll. And then my staples are like $7 for a 50 pack. But it's important to get those staples because the wind will just take it away. A little garden encouragement, join a club. Join a garden club. Get plugged in with like-minded people. Document your gardening journey in a journal to reflect on how far you've come and the knowledge that you've gained from planting. It's very encouraging to know where you started from and where you are now. Consider planting perennials such as your strawberry plants or Turk's cap or evergreens like rosemary and lavender. Because in the winter months, your garden looks sad. It's sad, and you don't want to be sad when you go out to your garden. So I like to have my evergreens, my rosemary. I have so many rosemary plants out there because they're beautiful and they smell good and they're a great pollinator. And you can use them for cooking as well. So I think that's great.
Supposed to help with memory too.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe I need that. Your soil additives can help your soil's health and improve it year after year. These would be bone meal, feather meal, azomite, cow manure, horse manure, things like that. Sorry. Oh, I thought you had a question.
No, what we just
Okay.
Oh.
So what I like to do is I like to plant things that I know I can grow, okay? Because then you want to grow your gardener confidence. So things that are easy to grow, potatoes, onions, radishes, and garlic to boost your gardener confidence. You can also research and get creative with different types of trellising to support your indeterminate tomatoes. Do we know the difference between determinate and indeterminate? What's the question? So you have two different types of tomatoes. Your determinate, they grow to a determined height. They will only get, those are usually your bush varieties, about 3 feet tall or so. Your indeterminate is an indeterminate height. They'll just keep growing. I've had my tomato plants 9 feet tall. So you're gonna have to figure out, in advance, your trellising techniques. I've used a lot over the years, but what I've noticed that has worked is the really tall T-post and those garden stakes, and I just put T-posts and then the garden stakes up top, and I have my twine that comes down, and I just clip it to the plant, and it just grows up there, and it works. It's great. Also have a YouTube video on that as well. So big one, plant your pollinators, zinnias, sunflowers, rosemary, roses, dill, your sedum, milkweed, coneflower. I mean, I could go on forever. Yarrow is a big one. You want your pollinators in your garden to help with growth of your vegetables. Another thing you can do is plant trap crops. So this is marigolds, nasturtium, dill, okra, basil, mustard. You want to attract those insects and everything that's trying to destroy your garden into the marigolds. They're not destroying, what you're actually trying to grow, your peppers and your tomatoes and things like that. And then invest in a harvest basket. This is a harvest basket. Although half the time I find myself just using my shirt with all of my stuff, and I'm trying to get back up to the house with my tomatoes and peppers and things like that. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get down on my knees. Get it down.
Did everybody get a number? Oh.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
You feel lucky.
No.
Yes.
I would say fencing. We used to have a lot of deer that came around, but we haven't seen them in a while, so I don't really struggle with that personally. I do know that like marigolds and things like that, things that have like a strong scent to them may deter them or may attract them so they're not eating what you're actually trying to grow. It would be another trap cop situation. So
Are you talking about
that's a
deer?
struggle. Yeah, she struggles big time with deer.
The deer love me. They think I planted my garden for them. I'm a science teacher, and I felt like a complete idiot one year because, I put up everything, and I put a hot wire, and I said, I'm going to zap those guys. I'm going to zap them. And I wasn't thinking, and they kept tearing it up, and I couldn't figure out why. So I was driving into my property, and one of them jumped over the fence, and of course they rub their belly as they go over. I'm thinking, well, dummy, they're not grounded. So that's why they were just tearing it up and eating. They've eaten probably 20 fruit trees. But what I've learned, 9-foot fence is just about the going height. They can't jump that. But they also won't jump where they can't see. So if you had something solid, planted something solid around your garden, they won't jump over it because they can't see. So I don't know who interviewed Bambi to come up with that one, but that one has come into my head of how can I do that one? Everybody got a number? Everybody get a number? All right. Oh, girl, you need a number. Okay. We brought just a couple little door prizes. This is one of the knee pads right here. We'll let Danielle be the one that, and there's, she said there was 25 of you that usually come, so there's 25 numbers in here, so we may have to draw till we get somebody. So I'll let Danielle draw. Don't look.
I'm
You're
not.
looking.
I had to look where the thing was, but okay. Number 25.
25. All right. Yay! Here you go. And then I picked up some gloves, and of course they have bees on them. Because I'm a beekeeper and I like to promote bees.
23.
Oh! Everybody at the front. We'll see if we're 3 for 3. And this is a strawberry plant, hanging plant.
And strawberries are perennial.
Yes. So if you can keep it alive, it'll be here next year.
14.
14. Oh. You can do it. I have faith. You'll look me.
What's your last name?
Brandon.
Brandon.
Go to Messy.
Yeah.
Grow
Grow
messy.
messy.
Go Messy. Yes.
Yes. And if you'd like to join our club's email list to get our newsletter, we send out monthly plant gardening tips as well. So, and it'll have our list of speakers on there and any events that we have coming up. So just leave your email with me if you'd like to be on that email list.
There you go. You want one?
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We hope that all of our guests, Danielle,
Yes, at Grow Messy.
Tammy, Inga, we hope all of you will.
Do you do the planting for the school?
Yes.
School, and that's where you buy the, they'll do where you buy the plants?
Well, I do young elementary.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm at. So I only take care of young.
Okay, but do you sell the plants?
We plan on selling it, but not right now.
Okay.
You need to go to the ag. Is it in April? That's where you go and just go. Oh, you can drive by. Right now they look bad, but they're going to look good too. It's on the side, so when you pull in the front, you can see it right as you pull in. Our garden's right there on the end.